How's it going, everybody? Welcome to today's stick mobility class. I am Coach Ray, and as usual, thank you for joining me. So for today's class, we're actually not going to need any extra equipment. We're only going to need access to all three sticks, two long and one short. Today's class, I actually want to keep it more so specifically focused on spinal and hip health. So we're going to be actually spending a lot of time in 90-90s today, at least for a pretty good portion of today's class. We're also going to be doing a lot of spine drills with extension, flexion, and rotation base. And we're also gonna get into some lateral flexion type of drills as well. But we are gonna go through a full body warm up, just kind of wanna get all the tissues warmed up and ready to go. So let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna start off with two long sticks here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a relatively wide stance. We're gonna go wider than shoulder width here. Toes are gonna be pointed forward. We're gonna start off with the feet and ankles first. I'm gonna have both sticks angled in towards me. Hands are at roughly about shoulder to chest height, and I'm gonna get into a horse stance here. This is gonna be the stance that we're gonna kind of stick to as we go through a pretty decent portion of this warm up here. Now from here, I'm just gonna start with bringing both heels up, all 5 toes in contact with the floor. We're just using the sticks for balance. I'm gonna bring both heels back down, not changing the level of my body. They're gonna bring my heels back up. As I do this, what I'm focusing on here is making sure that I have all full contact with the floor, then back up. And then I'm not shifting back and forth or even side to side. I want to stay as stable as we possibly can. Back down. Once the heels touch, up. That's 4. Good. Down. Up. That's 5. Good. Down. 6, 2 more. Down nice and slow, keep it controlled. 7, excellent, 1 more time. And 8, wonderful. Down nice and slow, ease off, stay in this horse stance here. Quads are gonna burn a little bit. We're gonna start with anterior, posterior tilt. So I'm gonna drive the sticks down in this position, about 20% tension. And then I'm gonna do a posterior tilt, squeezing my glutes, driving my knees apart. And then I'm gonna go into an anterior tilt. And as I do that, if my hips were a bucket, I have water tipping out the front. As I go into that posterior tilt, now I have water tipping out the back. Excellent, anterior tilt, still driving those sticks down, just 20%, nothing too significant. Posterior tilt, just trying to get the hips and the pelvis warmed up. Anterior tilt, posterior tilt, hold that position. Now we're gonna go lateral. So I'm gonna bump my right hip up, my left hip is going to drop. As I bump that right hip up, I wanna drive that right stick down even harder, really get those lateral tissues turned on. And then I'm gonna bump my left hip and drive that left stick down harder, easing off that tension on the right stick. Bump right, drive the right stick down, good. Bump left, drive the left stick down. Excellent, bump right. Good, and bump left. Drive that left stick down, come back to center. Now we're gonna go circles. So I'm gonna start going at 12 o'clock. Good, so I'm gonna do that posterior tilt. I'm gonna work clockwise, so I'm gonna go to 3, bump the right hip up, 6, 9, 12, good, again, 3, 6, 9, 12, good, 3, 6, 9, and 12. Switch sides, 9, 6, 3, 12, so driving those sticks down, 9, 6, 3, 12, 1 more time, 9, 6, 3, and 12. Excellent, ease off. Come up out of that horse stance a little bit. Shake your legs out if you need to. Quads might be getting a little bit tired here. Now we're gonna work with rotation. So we're gonna go to the floor here. I'm gonna move the shorter stick over and we're gonna start with rotation. Now what we wanna do here is gonna be called like the open book rotation. And what we're looking for here is to make sure we're trapping that top leg down. So we're gonna use both sticks. However, the stick that's going to be in front, I want to make sure that my down leg or my hip that's actually on the floor, I want that foot on top of the stick here. My top leg, I want to make sure I get it under the stick. Now from here, I'm already going to be in a rotated position. So this left hand is roughly around face height, and I want to keep my right knee up at 90 degrees. So this brings my knee to the same level as my hip. I'm gonna have my right hand on the stick here, and with this left hand, I'm gonna pull down towards the floor. This already gets a little bit of a stretch in that right glute, and that's okay. With my right hand, I'm gonna drive into the wall lightly, and then I'm gonna open up and rotate. Get as far as you can. Breathe. Excellent. Come back up. Let's go into it again. Open up. And the objective here is to get your right shoulder to the floor. Excellent. One more time. Open up and rotate. Pull that left hand down towards the floor. Come back up. Excellent. Ease off. Now we're going to switch sides. And so something I really want you to pay attention to is what side rotates better than the other. So if you're rotating better to the left than the right, you want to really work on focusing on that rotating to the right a little bit more so you open up that range of motion. We're going to have that same setup. My right hand, I'm going to pull that right hand towards the floor, trap that leg, left hand straight up, drive the stick down lightly, and then we're going to open up to the left. Come back up. Open up and rotate again. One more time. Come back up. Open up and rotate. Excellent. Come back up and ease off. Excellent. Good. Now we're going to stay to the floor here. We're going to go with a tall kneeling position. And so from here, we're going to have the sticks angled out in front. Now we're going to go into an extension-based drill. All right? We're really familiar with this. We've done this from a standing position. We're just going to do this from a half kneeling position. This allows us to kind of sit our hips back onto our heels. So from here, I'm going to have the sticks roughly about 1.5 to 2 feet in front of the line of my hips here. And my hands are going to be roughly about chest height or shoulder height. You can have them up a little higher if you need to. Now from this position, I'm going to lightly drive the sticks down about 15% tension. So really, really light activation here. Keep those shoulders down. Now from here, I'm going to sink back on my heels and rock back. Now I'm trying to get my chest to the floor here. So you're going to feel a stretch in that T-spine and that mid-back. Breathe. I'm going to come back up, squeeze those glutes at the top to a nice good tall position, and then we're going to go back into it again, driving those hands out, hips back, sink those hips back into it. Back up, squeeze those glutes. Let's go one more time. Sink back. up, squeeze those glutes, and ease off. Excellent. Now we're we're actually gonna put the sticks down for this next drill. It's gonna be very reminiscent of a cat-cow. And what we're gonna do is we wanna make sure that our hands are directly under our shoulders and our knees are under our hips. And I wanna keep my arms straight. Now, as I do this, the main objective is to segment the spine. So I actually wanna start at the low back as I actually do this here. Now from this position, I wanna keep my arms straight. So I wanna lock my elbows out. I'm gonna start by anteriorly tilting my pelvis. So I'm going to extend my low back. That's the first part. And then go through and extending the entire spine. Looking up. And then I'm going to segment that low back, rounding, creating as much flexion as I can, driving my mid and upper back towards the ceiling. And then I'm gonna segment the lower back again, going into extension, working that entire spine into extension here. And as I do that, I wanna kind of externally rotate my hands so I get some tension. So internally rotate, or start to flex the spine, internally rotate. Excellent, extend. Good, flex. Breathe. Excellent, and ease off. Wonderful. All right, now we're gonna go to a standing position, still with the both long sticks here. And I just wanna kind of take your time to warm up the hips a little bit. So we're gonna work with some internal external rotation since we are gonna be doing some 90-90s. As we do this here, feet are gonna be together. I'm actually going to have my hip opened up a little bit. So almost kind of out at a little bit of a 45-degree angle here. So we're gonna open that hip up and then work with internal external rotation. I'm actually gonna kind of turn to the side just a little bit here. I'm gonna have my left stick at 12 o'clock. My right stick's gonna be at about, let's say roughly 2 o'clock here, right? You can always adjust the width of the stick as you need to, depending on your mobility. Now from here, I wanna actually bring my right hand in front a little bit more like so. Left hand is out straight. Drive both sticks down, about 30% tension. I'm gonna bring my right knee up, keep them in center line with the sticks. I'm gonna externally rotate, push against the stick for 2 seconds at about 30%, and then internally rotate, push against my right stick, 2 seconds. Externally rotate, internally rotate. Externally rotate, good, internally rotate. Back to center, bring that leg back down, and ease off. I'm gonna turn forward. Now we're gonna have that right hip directly in front. Notice I'm a little off center from the sticks. When I don't have both feet in front, I'm a little off to the left a tiny bit. Drive both sticks down, right leg up, externally rotate, internally rotate, externally rotate, internally rotate, external, and internal. Back to center, and down. Excellent. Let's go ahead and switch sides. So now we're gonna do that same thing. We're gonna start with the hip in an open position. Drop both sticks down. Good. Left hip up, external. Good. Internal. External. Internal. Drive those sticks down. External. 1, 2. Internal. 1, 2. Good. Back down. Ease off. Bring the sticks in front. Remember, be off to the right just a little bit so your left hip's directly in the center of the sticks. Drive both sticks down. Hip up. External. Internal. External. Internal. External. And internal. Back to center and down. Excellent. Gonna place one stick down here. We're gonna take the long stick, place it on our upper back. Again, we're gonna work with some lateral flexion here. So I'm gonna take a roughly hip width stance, so it's gonna be pointed forward here, and I'm gonna have my hands out on the stick. You can have your hands a little bit closer, but we're actually not gonna be generating really any tension into the stick. Instead, the stick's gonna kind of act as a marker for what we're utilizing to get that bend here. My hand's gonna be on the outside of the sticks here. I'm gonna squeeze my glutes just a little bit, lock your hips into extension, and then I'm going to laterally flex to my left. And my objective here is to bring my left shoulder down towards my left hip as much as possible. I'm trying to close that angle, come back up, and then I'm gonna go to the other side. Trying to get my right shoulder to my right hip, try to close that angle as much as I can. Back up, go to the left. Breathe. Now to the right. Back to the left. Now right. Back to center and relax. Excellent. Now we're gonna go to our 90-90s here. So we're gonna grab both sticks. And something I want you to do before we actually get started is I want you to kind of see which side is a little tighter for you. So you're gonna start with your left leg forward, right leg back. You can actually go to a shin box if that's a little bit easier by closing the angle of your knee a little bit more, as well as your back leg, if that's a little bit of an easier position for you to get to. But it's kind of get a feel for how your hips feel being in that 90-90 position, right? See how that front hip feels, see how this back hip feels, if that TFL feels really, really tight. Now we're gonna switch sides and see which side feels a little bit tighter. Now for me, today, it feels like this actually is gonna be a little bit tighter for me today. So internal rotation on that left hip, which can be pretty common. Some people are having more rotation on one than the other, and the difference of external and internal rotation. So let's go ahead and start on the hip that tends to be either a little bit tighter, or again, just follow me. You can start with your right hip forward, left hip back. So I have my right leg in front of my hip here at a 90-degree angle. Same with my back leg going straight out, 90-degree angle on this knee here. We're gonna start here by just kind of warming up. So I'm going to prop myself up with both hands, really driving with that right hand here to bring myself upright. And we're gonna create tension by driving both knees into the floor here. I wanna focus on pushing down this leg as hard as I can, or hard as I tell you to, so about 50% to start off with. And I'm driving this left knee into the floor the same as well, all right? Let's go ahead and drive both knees into the floor and push. 50%. As you do that, you're gonna feel that front glute activate a little bit. This back leg, you're gonna feel that hip and even a little bit of that glute med activate. Excellent, ease off. Okay, let's go again. Drive both legs down, 50% and go. Seems like a really, really minor thing, but 50% max tension. Should be getting those hips pretty active here. If you're cramping, don't be afraid to get out of it. Ease off, and then go again one more time. Push. Hold. Breathe. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Ease off. We're gonna take both sticks here. We're gonna go with the long sticks. If you have shorter sticks, I suggest going with those, to be honest with you. So from here, left sticks at 11, right sticks at 12, or sorry, 1 o'clock, I should say. And what I'm gonna do here is I wanna drive both sticks down and both knees down, 50% and go. Make sure you're driving that left stick down nice and hard here, because it's gonna feel like you're really mostly pushing off that right. You wanna drive that left stick down with equal tension. Excellent, 3, 2, 1, and ease off. You should be feeling that oblique really light up here. Let's go again and drop both sticks down in both legs and push. 50%. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Ease off. Let's go one more time. Drop both sticks down, both legs, and go. 50%, folks. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Ease off. Take a second, and we're actually going to switch sides. Now, this is just the first initial drill, just to kind of warm those hips up. So we're going to do that same thing on this side here. We'll have that left hand on the outside of that left hip. Right hand right in the center. Same thing. Prop yourself upright. Drop both legs down into the floor 50% and push. Breathe. Make sure you're driving that front knee down. A lot of people tend to lose that tension a little bit. 50% max effort, folks. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Excellent. We're gonna go 2 more, then we're gonna pick up the sticks. And push. Breathe. Three, 2, 1. Excellent. Ease off. One more time. And push. Breathe. 50%. 3, 2, 1. And ease off. Excellent. Now we're going to pick up both sticks. We're going to go to that same position, 11 and 1. We're going to go through the same progressions here. Arms are straight, drive both sticks down, both knees down, and push. 50%. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Let's go again. Drop both sticks down and push. Make sure you're really driving with that right. If someone were to come test you, you should be putting up a good fight there. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Ease off. One more time. And push. Drive that front knee down. Down, down, down into the floor. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. And ease off. Place the sticks down. We're going to switch sides. Now we're going to bring the sticks out to a 3 and 9 o'clock position here. Right leg is forward again. Hips are probably going to feel a little tired right now, and that's okay. Now, the 3 and 9 o'clock position, if your belly button's 12, I want those sticks out here. Now from this position here, we're going to drive both sticks down and both knees into the floor, 50%. Try to have your hands at about shoulder height here. If you have them up a little bit higher, that can make it a little bit more challenging. So have them at shoulder height, arms straight, and drive both sticks and both knees down and push. 50%, folks. Make sure you're driving that front knee down. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Ease off. Let's go again. Arms straight. Drop both knees down and both sticks and push. 50%. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Ease off. Wonderful. We're going to stay in this position. Now what we're going to do is going to be a little bit dynamic with this back leg. I'm going to open this hip up as much as I can. You're not to rotate towards that side. Keep your body rotated forward. So 3 and 9, same thing. Drop both sticks down. Drive that front leg into the floor. push your left foot into the floor and open that hip up as high as you can. Hold. Make sure you're driving that left stick down hard. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Ease off. Take a second. We're gonna go again. Drop both sticks down, front leg down, open up that left knee. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Ease off. Take a second. Now we're gonna go in reverse. This is where things are gonna get a little, little challenging. We're gonna try to internally rotate this left hip, so I'm going to try to get my left foot off the floor as much as I can, still having the sticks in that 3 and 9 position. If you can't get your foot off the ground, that is fine, but you wanna make sure you're driving that left knee down and actively trying to internally rotate or get your left foot off the floor or hover it. Ready? So drive both sticks down, drive that front leg down, drive the left knee down, and internally rotate. Drive the left stick down. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Excellent. Let's go one more time. Drop both sticks down, both knees into the floor. Internally rotate that left leg. Hold. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Wonderful. Let's switch sides. So it's a really, really good way to strengthen the hips without actively necessarily fully loading them in a particular way. This has put you in such a, what could be called an extreme range, although really not that extreme, but really working on getting the hips to learn to be active here. So we're gonna go to that 3 and 9 position again. If you need to, don't be afraid to get up, move around a little bit before you're kind of resuming back to the side, because your hips will get a little tired. So we're gonna go 3 and 9. We're gonna go through those same progressions here. Drop both sticks down and both knees at 50% and push. Hold. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Excellent. Let's go again. Drop both knees down, both sticks down. Push. 50%. Breathe, folks, breathe. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Now we do that same thing, opening up that right hip, so make sure you're driving that right foot into the floor. All right, drop both sticks down, that front knee down, back foot, open that hip up. Hold, you're really gonna feel that oblique, really activate. 3, 2, 1, back down, ease off. Let's go one more time here, folks. Drop both sticks down, front knee down, open up that right knee, hold, breathe. 3, 2, 1, excellent, back down and ease off. Take a second if you need to. Hips are gonna get a little tight here. So now we're gonna work with that internal rotation. Again, if you cannot hover that back foot off the floor, that is fine. It's about the intent of hovering it off the floor. So I'm gonna go back to that 3 and 9 position. Drop both sticks down, front knee down, or both knees down. Try to internally rotate. Hover that back foot off the floor if you can. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Excellent. Let's go one more time. Drop both sticks down, drop both knees down, try to hover that back foot. Hold. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. And take a second before we get into the next drills. All right, everybody, so now we're gonna get into some Shin Box Flow, and we're gonna use this as a way to kind of still, again, capitalize on those hips, but also make sure that we're actually flowing in and out of it, working with that internal and external rotation here. And starting with the shin box position, this is a position we're gonna start with. And we're gonna be flowing back and forth between both, but we're gonna use a stick as a way to create tension on that anterior line here. And I'm gonna be in the shin box position here. I'm gonna start here, arms are gonna be out straight. And what I wanna do for this position, I'm going to first compress the stick. I wanna try to shorten this stick at about 50% tension, so compress. Then I'm gonna come up and I'm going to squeeze my glutes. So as I do this, I'm actually getting a little bit of a stretch in that right adductor, right? Now I'm going to shift to the other side. Now my left glute is tight, and I'm going to slowly sink down onto the floor as soft as I can. Still compressing on that stick, come up. Left glute fires. I'm gonna switch sides and then back down again. Good, up. Squeeze that right glute. Switch those feet and then back down. Good, ease off. And now we're gonna do the shin box again. However, this time at the top, we're gonna move it into an overhead position and actually lengthen the stick as opposed to try to shorten. So we're going to pull the stick apart. And so from here, we're not gonna pull the stick apart yet. We're just gonna hold the stick out in front, and I'm going to come up, squeeze, pull apart, bring the stick up overhead, rotate to my right, back forward, back down, still pulling apart, up, rotate to the right, back forward, switch, hips down, up. Now I'm going to rotate to the left, keeping that right glute tight, back forward, down, one more, up, rotate to the left, back forward, bring the stick back in front, ease off, and sink back down. Excellent. Now we're going to get into working with it's kind of like the pigeon stretch. The tip for this is you don't have to be in a full pigeon stretch if you can't get to it, right? If you have a hard time getting into this position here, what you can do to modify that is bring that back hip down and kind of focus on, or bring the hip down and focus on hinging from this position here. But if you can manage getting to that pigeon stretch position, then I would say try to get to it here. You don't have to have your foot out in front too far and forward. You can actually have that leg bent, but you do want to make sure you're creating a little bit of tension on that front leg. So right now I have my right knee down. I'm going to adjust a little bit, and I'm going to stick with the short stick for this one. Now from here, I want the stick to be in line with my 12 o'clock position. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have my hands at about chest height, drive that stick down lightly, and squeeze my left glute. And as I do that, I'm actually going to get a stretch in the front of my left hip, and I'm going to lightly drive this front leg down about 30%, and then hinge. Try to keep the back straight. So we use this stick as a way to keep a nice, good neutral spine. You don't want to find that you're rounded. Good, back up. As you come up, make sure that left glute's firing hard, so you actually get a stretch in the front of that hip. So driving that front leg down, hinge, breathe. Excellent. Squeeze that left glute, come back up. Good. Take a second. We're gonna hinge back into it one more time. Drive that front leg down into the floor. Keep that right glute nice and tight. Then squeeze that left glute, come up. Excellent, and ease off. Let's go ahead and switch sides. Show the left leg from the side here. So I have my left leg forward, right leg back. Same thing, we're gonna go with the stick at that 12 o'clock position here. Hands are at chest height. And I wanna drive that front leg down into the floor, squeeze that right glute, and then I'm gonna hinge, driving the stick out. Again, really trying to focus on keeping a nice, good neutral spine. Come up, squeezing that right glute, getting a stretch in the front of that right hip. Excellent. Drive that front leg down, 30%. Hinge forward. Breathe. Squeeze that right glute, come back up. Nice, good tall position here. Let's go one more time. Hinge. Breathe, come back up, squeeze that right glute. Excellent, and ease off. Wonderful. And now we're gonna stick to being on the floor here. We're gonna have the right knee down, left leg is out. If you need a pad for you to kneel on, this would be the perfect time to actually grab one. I'm actually gonna have my left leg or left foot pointed forward as much as I possibly can. This is gonna depend on your mobility and what you have access to, but if you wanna try to get that left foot pointed forward so we can really access those adductors here. I'm gonna have the short stick, we're gonna stick with the short stick, on my right shoulder is gonna be angled out in front. My right, and I want the stick to be in line with my right hip, and I wanna make sure that has, my back foot is flexed or plantar flexed or extended, so I can actually kind of lightly drive that back foot into the floor. Now from here, from this position, try to keep this leg straight. Now from here, having both hands on top, I'm going to hinge back, reaching my hands, going down towards the bottom of the stick, really sinking my hips back here. Good. You're gonna get a nice stretch in that left adductor here. I'm gonna rock my hips forward, so it's gonna ease off that stretch a bit, and then I'm gonna sink back into it again. Still reaching down towards the bottom of the stick, and then I'm gonna lightly push my left foot into the floor. Feel that adductor light up a little bit. 3, 2, 1. Bring those hips forward. Walk yourself up. Now we're gonna switch sides. So that same thing, right foot is out. Try to get that foot pointed forward best that you can. So it's a really, really good way to really work on opening up that adductor line. Both hands are on top of the stick here. Gonna sink back. Reaching towards the bottom. Breathe. Excellent. Bring your hips forward. Now we're gonna rock back into it again. Lightly drive that foot to the floor. Breathe. 3, 2, 1. Back up. Walk yourself up the stick. Excellent. Good. Now we're going to take a long stick and we're going to get into some slap shot. And so from here, again, we're working on the spine, we're also working on the hips a little bit too. So we're going to add in a little bit of a pivot with rotation into the drill, just so we can still stretch out those hips a bit. Gonna take the stick behind the mid back. Gonna take a pretty wide stance. You can have your feet angled out a little bit, and you can adjust your feet or wiggle your feet a little bit if you need to go out wider or even a little bit more narrow. Sticks behind my mid back. I have my thumbs facing out away from one another. From here, I'm gonna have a soft bend to the knees and drive my hips back. Gonna get a nice good stretch in those hamstrings here. You're gonna rotate the left end down to center line, pull the stick apart, 20%, get a little bit more rotation, open up that chest a little bit, and then I'm gonna lunge to the right, or left, sorry. Then right, left, try to keep those hips relatively low, don't wanna pop them up. Right, still pulling the stick apart. Left, and right. Now from here, I'm gonna pivot both feet, squeeze that left glute and kind of lean back into it a little bit. Now I'm not really pulling apart here, but I am getting a little bit of a hang on that top hand. Stretching out the front of my left hip. back to center. Excellent. Now rotate the right end down. Same thing, pull apart. 20%. Get that upper back activation. Lunge to the right. Left. Right. Left. Excellent. Right. Left. Pivot both feet. Squeeze that right glute. Breathe. 3, 2, 1. Back to center. Come out. Stand up and wiggle those feet in. Excellent. And that concludes today's stick mobility class. Thank you everybody for joining me. Just wanted to focus a little bit more on the spine, the hips, kind of get the hips opened up and strengthen them a little bit more today. But I hope everybody had a good class, and I will be sure to catch you on the next one. Stay safe. Have a good one.